Hi everybody, Randy Herpel here with Drag Racing's Golden Era. As always, we're really glad that you're with us. Tonight, our feature is not going to be a legend of the past of drag racing. We're going to do something a little bit different. I know that we generally interview guys from the past, but I thought it was important to lend a little bit of support here as much as I can to my hometown track, Great Lakes Dragway in Union Grove, Wisconsin, and a great car club by the name of the Brew City Gassers. They hold a drag race every year, third week of June, called the Out of Sight Drags. And I decided to get a hold of these guys and see if, maybe they'd sit down, do a little interview with us and talk about the Out of Sight Drags and what's coming up this year. They actually have some pretty cool stuff coming, a whole bunch of front engine dragsters. I know last year there was some A-Fuel dragsters there, injected. So the Nitro Coupe's going to be there. There's going to be some fuel altereds, but we'll let these guys tell you about it. We started out our interview, and I didn't really want to break my format of how we ask guys how they got into drag racing. So with John, Mark, and Brad, we did exactly that. We asked them how they got started in drag racing, and we allow them to progress that all the way up to the present day with the Brew City Gassers. This is only a 30-minute interview. We have a lot of overlays of the Brew City Gassers on the track, doing burnouts, doing wheelies, doing all kinds of neat stuff. So sit back, enjoy, and what I'd really like to see is I'd like to see all of you out at Great Lakes Dragway for the Out of Sight Drags. Third week in June, and they'll tell you what the dates are here in the interview, but I'd really love to see all of you out there. If you're into old school drag racing and you like it the way it used to be, door slammer gas, double A gas door slammers, all the fun stuff is going to be there, and it's going to be a riot. So sit back, enjoy, and we'll start out here with Mark Davis is going to tell us how he got into drag racing.
Well, it all started when I was about 16. Actually, I was just out of high school. I just got my license, and I was out cruising. My mom and dad had a 73 Dodge Polara, and I was just out cruising. It was a beautiful June night. It was just right after high school I actually got out. And I was cruising a little town called Grays Lake, Illinois. And I ran across some guys there was a repair shop in downtown Grays Lake. It was called Russell Brothers. Typical old school setup, it was an old brick building with the old hydraulic hoists in the floors. And a friend of mine that at the time I didn't know him, but his name was Timmy Johnson. And I'm cruising along and I see this four-door Impala with a tunnel ram sticking out of the hood and white, Kragers on it. And so I was like, man, I did a U-turn. I had to turn around. I had to go check that thing out, So I walk up, and I come pulling up, and these guys are kind of like standing there leaning up against the wall. Real little fella come walking out. He's like, hey, what's going on? We go to high school together. Yeah, and I said, yeah. I says, whose car is that? He's like, oh, that's mine. So I'm like, man, dude, I said, that car is killer, dude. I says, I said, you mind starting it up? And he's like, yeah. He's all fired up. And it had a small block in it. So he revs the thing up to like 7,500 RPM. And I'm not kidding you. And I was like, holy cow. I says, man, is there any chance that I could, go for a ride with you in that car? He's like, yeah. So up to this point, kind of going a little bit further back, my father was a drag racer. My dad had a real rare car. It was a 63 Super Duty Catalina lightweight.
Wow.
And he actually did race against, the Farmer and all those guys back in the day. It was a 4-speed car. It was a family car. So, he'd always talk about the car, but I never got to see it because I was born in 67, so I'm 55 years old. So basically I knew what cars were about, and, I was, any car that drove by, my dad asked me when I was a kid, I was about 9 years old, what kind of car is that? What's that? That's a Chevelle, that's a GTO, oh, that's a Le Mans, yeah, So anyway, getting back to the situation I was talking about with my buddy Timmy. So I says, you mind giving me a ride in that car? And he says, yeah. So I said, so what what's the car all about? And he's like, it's got a turbo 350. He says, it's got a 5,500 stall speed. It's got 538 gears. And I'm like, this is just going right over my head.
It's like,
I'm 16 years old. I'm just a kid. I just got my license. Well, I had no clue what a 538 car, with 538 with a 5,500 stall speed. When he pinned that thing, man, I was like, oh my God. And from that day on, man, I says, you got me. I says, this is what I want in life. So it turns out that years go by. Actually, him and I hung out a lot, and he taught me pretty much everything up to this point where I now, and hanging out with John and all the guys. But I was kind of starstruck, man. When I rode in this car, it freaked me out. It was like no other experience I've ever had in my life. So from that point on, here's a guy that was really a smaller fella. He was real small in high school, real soft-spoken. Get him behind the wheel of that car, and he would just turn into the Tasmanian devil, But then we started doing some street racing. I talked him into doing street racing with this car. So I told him, I said, there can't be no cars out there faster than this thing. There just can't be, I mean, again, 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that car was actually one of the fastest cars in a big, huge area for years. Nobody come around that old four-door. So we would actually street race, and he'd say, I want you to drive just in case the cops come. He didn't want to be the one getting busted. So here I am, man. I'm out there street racing everybody in this car. So from 16 to a superhero street racer within 5 months. So it was pretty cool. Wow. So that's really honestly how I got into it.
So have you been racing continuously since that time?
Continuously, yeah. My first pass, I actually drove that 73 Dodge Polara down the track, and I think it ran like a 1720 when I was 16 years old. And then the Dodge Polara that I was cruising in that night. Yeah. And then made multiple passes with my buddy's 66 Impala. And then we actually built the 67 Impala as like a group. My brother sold it to him. It was a 67 SS. And we did the same thing, 513 gear, 5,500 stall speed, that same motor. And from the four-door, we went from a 66 four-door to a two-door SS. And my first real good pass down the quarter mile was a 12:48 at 108 miles an hour in that 67 Impala. I was about 16 years old.
Wow.
As far as where it started, drag racing or the interest of it, my dad used to take me there. I'm going to say, we're just talking about this. So I'm 38. I think my dad first took me there in 87 or 88. So I was, do the math, 7, 8 years old, somewhere in there. And just took me there a lot. We went there all the time, myself, my brother, a few of my friends, and he went out there as a young kid and all that stuff. But as far as drag racing, actually, in this seat, it started about 10 years ago. So I had for drag racing, or I would say probably like the car that kind of got me into speed, at least. I had, don't laugh, it was a 98 Dodge Neon.
I am going to laugh.
Two-door. It was two-door, dark purple, kind of looked like Grimace.
I know exactly the car you're talking about.
And it had a 2-liter. It was punched out. It was close to a 2.2, diamond racing pistons, eagle crank, eagle rods. That thing was fast for that time. Even now, I mean, I used to, on the freeway, getting on, some street racing. I mean, any new Corvette, I'd walk them all.
Yeah.
It was fast. So I never took it to the track because I was too scared to break the transmission because I didn't have much money. Yeah. So 12 years ago, I bought the Nova I have, 63 Nova. The history on the car is kind of blurry, other than there's absolutely no rust on it. Okay. It's insane. There's no rust. It's nuts. So definitely down south, but it was a bracket car in Indiana in the 80s, and then the previous owner that I bought it from picked it up. It was in a gasser form, but I redid it all, front to back. Basically just the shell. It was a nice paint job, but I did everything else. Put a whole new front clip on, Olds Pontiac rear end, G-force transmission, 400 small block, everything. And so the first time that I took it out, probably the first or second time was against one of our members too, Joe Marish. He has a 38 Chevy, and he didn't know what I was building. And we raced, and I think I ran, at that time, an 11.4, something like that. And he ran, I think, a 13.2, which is, just night and day.
Yeah.
So, but his cars got faster. His car is the Blue Dago, or it's an awesome car. I'll have to show you the picture. But as far as drag racing, got into about 10 years ago, able to afford it.
Yeah.
I could have raced anything out there, but I just really saved up my money and bought the Nova. I love the car. I've always been a Nova fan. Actually, years and years ago, I say years and years ago, I'm going to say probably at least 20 years ago, the club that Mark was in, there was a blue Nova. And I always says, man, I'd like to have a Nova, you know, with a straight axle.
Yeah.
I actually didn't really realize the term. I just knew it was a straight axle.
I'm one of the probably the older people, members in the club, but I started racing. I guess what happened with me was, for me, my dad was not very mechanically inclined, and having a mini bike that he didn't know how to fix, and I kind of learned how to fix that, and just kind of progressed into cars, started working on cars, and I had my first car. I bought a 70 Chevy Nova when I was 15 and a half years old. I had it paid for. I worked during the summer from school. And then when I was 16 years old, got my license on my 16th birthday. And in school for me, which was really a subject that I liked, was power mechanics. I had the shop class. So I was like a sponge, you know, learning everything I could. I ended up buying a 68 396 engine and transmission out of a 68 Chevelle. I had the 70 Nova, I had a 307 in it. Right away I wanted to make it go faster, so during the power mechanics class I rebuilt the 396 and put a cam in it, and actually went through and we rebuilt the transmission, and I put that in the 70 Nova. And I first started going down the track when I was 1977 was the first time I went down the track. And I had gone out there previously, out at Great Lakes Dragway, and saw some really neat things, you know, the hydrogen peroxide rocket cars. Remember Captain Jack McClure in the go-kart going 210 miles an hour in the quarter mile, and just thinking about that, you know, how I remember they said he had a parachute on the back by his neck in case the thing ever got airborne. He could open the thing up and slow down. I thought, wow, this is crazy. But one of the guys that kind of influenced me, I guess, when I was a kid, 16, 17 years old, 18 years old, was a racer that lived down the street from where I grew up. Luckily for me, I grew up like 11 miles away from Great Lakes Dragway, so it was close. But one of the racers that lived down the road, his name was Mickey Stevens. He had a 70 Chevy Nova that was called Mickey's Habit, and it was a big tire car. And I remember one day sitting out in the front yard mowing the grass, shut the lawnmower off, and all of a sudden I hear, it sounds like I'm out at Great Lakes Dragway, and here he comes flying down the road in this Nova with the big tires, open headers, you know, probably buzzing about 130 miles an hour past the house. And it said, talk about putting an impression in a young kid's, you know, brain. It was like, man, is this ever neat? So then I thought, well, we got to start going out to the track. And I was going out there racing, and I had done that. Unfortunately, got too many speeding tickets, lost my license for a couple months, and the cars I kind of put on the back burner for a while. I actually started flying. You know, I was flying airplanes, started flying ultralights, and then flying airplanes, and built a home-built airplane that does 212 miles an hour, and got into that for probably 25 years. I got consumed with the aviation stuff. But, you know, one of the things with the aviation, it's a lot of fun. It was, I had a lot of fun doing it. I got a little bored with it though, because a lot of the times you're doing it by yourself. You know, you're up there flying around. It's a good time, but you land, put the airplane away at the hangar, and you go home. One of the great things about our group, with like our Brew City Gasser Club, is we're all friends, we're all family. You know, we have as much fun after we're done racing, sitting around the campfire, BSing, drinking a few beers or doing whatever. You know, it's our extended family. We look forward to doing this every year, which is one of the things I didn't get with the aviation. You know, it was, you might go to a flying breakfast or just something like that and see a few people, but you know, we have as much fun when we're not racing, just sitting around and talking around the fire.
Out of Sight Drags, which happened June 24th and 25th at Great Lakes Dragway. I understand you have a bunch of cackle cars that are going to be there. I know a couple of them that are going to be there, but why don't you tell me what the lineup is?
So the lineup this year is we're going to have 5 of them, possibly a 6th, but with everything going crazy on, we'll see if that happens. But as far as the one that's a lot of people know, it's a beautiful dragster. It's the Tom Hoover dragster. That dragster, I actually didn't even know a ton about the history. I'm still learning the history of all this stuff, talking with you, talking with so many people. That dragster is just, it's insane. Not only is it beautiful, that thing hits hard. That thing is extremely loud.
Let me tell you about that car. I was out at Irwindale last year for the Nitro Revival.
I gotta get there.
I was standing out at the track. They had that, Tom Hoover had just shown up, and Jerry Newman was there getting ready to fire the car up. They put Lippincott in the seat, and I'm out by the track. On the other side of the stands, I heard this thing fire. That car is so distinctive and so loud that there was no mistake. And I'm like, I'm missing it. They just fired the Hoover car, and sure enough, That car is an amazing thing. The history of it, Tom Hanna put the body on that thing.
Yep.
It's just a beautiful work of art.
Yeah, it's actually cool because that that came across my my view from another friend. He says, "Hey, you should, you know, ask him." And then once I asked him, found out the history of it. So then I even talked to the owners of Great Lakes Dragway, and I got some photos that I don't think he's ever seen, and then I send it to him. So it's cool that there's so much history that, you know, that car or the original car was there, which is really cool. Another Calco car that's coming would be Larry. It's the car is called Nitro Syndicate.
Yep.
That is another car that is just extremely loud. It's ear-piercingly loud, and I like loud stuff. But after a while, you know, you just gotta. I haven't talked to him yet to see if his new setup, which I think is done, but when I talked to him a few months ago, he had a new setup, so it's going to be
Even earlier exhaust cam on it, or what?
Oh yeah. the amount of header flames that they put out is insane. But they have custom camshafts, timing, and all that stuff. That's an incredible car. And then Mike Edstrom, he's coming with that one's the spaghetti. The history of that, and then Terry, one of the guys who was partial owner or the owner at one time and actually raced it when it was going down the track. Terry's a super nice guy. They're coming. David Stewart, he's got the Gizzle hopper.
Yeah.
It's got a Lincoln motor.
Yeah.
I think it's a 413. I'm kind of drawing a blank on that.
I'm trying to remember what it is too. I know the car.
It's completely different. It sounds completely different.
It's got the weed burners on it, right?
Yep, it's got the weed burners on it. He should be coming. He's building a house right now. Super good guy. He just got engaged to Katie. Super cool gal. So they're building a house. So he may need a break, and then he'll come on over. And then Paul Brown with the funny car, which is the Corvair, Doug's Headers.
Doug's Headers Corvair.
Man, if anybody sees that car, just take 15, 20 minutes and just walk around it. Just look at it. That thing's amazing. I mean, the amount of time. It's cool talking with these guys because I become friends with them. I put a lot of time into my Nova and all that stuff, and that's just kind of like, you know, that's what you work hard for. These cars, the Calco cars, they don't go down the track, but they love to cackle. Talking to these guys, that's what they're into, making them pristine, perfect, and loud and all that stuff. And that's a whole other ballgame.
For those of you that get out to the races this year, the out-of-sight drags, which I hope is a lot of people, if you take a look at Doug's Headers Corvair, the pattern that's on the side of that, they used actually a lace tablecloth, computer regenerate. The original design on that car was used a lace tablecloth. Was the original design was laid out on that car, and I believe they used a computer this time to recreate that pattern on there. But you get up close and look at it, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. And Mike Edstrom, you know, Blind Faith, funny car.
Yes.
There's some history there too. And the Spaghetti guys, I mean, there's a whole lot of Midwestern drag racing history right there.
Yeah, the Blind Faith, I actually had no idea until I was talking to Mike about that, about his father there. And it's called Blind Faith because his father, I forgot what illness that he had, but he eventually lost the eyesight, and he still continued to wrench and work on the car based on, well, sound, not sight. So Blind Faith. That's crazy.
I was actually at the track the night, and I don't remember the year anymore, 86, 85, 87, somewhere in there. The night that Mike Edstrom took his 3 qualifying passes in the first Blind Faith funny car, I was there.
Really?
And he said that Broadway Bob, it was the only time he ever paid money out for somebody to make qualifying passes because he wanted to put on a good show. So it was a neat night. I was there the night that he qualified that car. They went on to race that car at some NHRA national events, and they had a pretty good time.
Yeah, that's a cool. I haven't asked him yet, but that'd be cool if some way, somehow down the road they would recreate that funny car.
Yeah. You guys have a pair, if I understand right, a pair of altereds showing up, fuel altereds showing up at the out-of-sight drags this year. Who are they? Tell me about them.
Yeah, we have 2 coming out. Scott Galter with the Nitro Madness, and we have Neil Hinman with the it's called Bad Habit, and these are altered cars. capable of running 200 plus in the eighth. They said that they're going to run them out to about 1,000 feet for us.
Okay.
So Friday night, June 24th, 7 p.m. They're going to run, a nice dusk evening and evening pass, and then on Saturday they're going to make 2 passes, 7 p.m. and 9 p.m.
Oh,
Yeah, and
it'll be full dark out.
Oh yeah, so we're gonna get the full effect of the 10, 12-foot flames, and these guys, they put on one hell of a show. I mean, these cars, the earth will be trembling with these guys running.
It's nothing like fuel altered. Said.
Oh no, it's going to be amazing. I really think if anything, I think the people are going to be talking about that, because it's been a while since we've had some hard hitting altereds.
Yeah.
Out there. So it's going to be a real good time. And then we have also, the supercharged double A gassers of America that are going to be showing up. Some of these guys are coming from the East Coast. These cars are, old gassers that are all blown to run alcohol, and they're capable of running 5-second range in the 8th mile as well.
Are these door slammers? Or
Yes, these are door slammers.
Okay.
These are old, Fiats, Bantams, old Willys.
Yeah.
I mean, these are some bad boy cars coming out, and it's going to be a real good time. We got 6 of these guys scheduled to be running. So, and they actually do eliminations.
Oh, do they?
So they are actually going to be putting on a real show. They're going to be eliminating, out, and so yeah, they're going to be running quite a bit. So
now
that's
you've
going to
got
be
me
another
excited
feature.
about being there.
Oh
filming.
yeah. We've got some real neat stuff. Between Brian Huffman's club, Rich Burles with the Nostalgia Super Stocks. We got the AA Gassers coming. We've got the Nitro Altereds coming. We've got scheduled. There's probably 25 front engine dragsters that we're going to be showing up at the race. It's going to be a real good show, you guys. I mean, it's going to be a phenomenal show this year. We're really looking forward to it. Hopefully, Mother Nature's on our side. I believe she's going to be. Put out your hot rod prayers up there for
Nitro
her.
Coupe, is he going to be out there this year? The green, what is it, a 30?
Yeah, that'd be Brian Coleman.
Yeah, that's,
Yep. Yeah, he'll definitely be out there with his car, and he does some great exhibition runs.
Yeah.
Brian's a real good guy too. Always exciting.
And that
to watch
car, my
Brian run.
understanding is, he can
is a
put
street
nitro
car.
in the tank on the strip, and he can run gasoline on the street with that thing.
Yes, he does. And there's been times where he lives out in the middle. You want to talk about somebody who lives out in the middle of nowhere? He lives out in some farm roads, but he will take a 7-8 mile hike on nitro, driving that thing into town at the A&W root beer stand, and he will come in and rattle some teeth with that car.
That's a dedicated guy right there. Melt a few pistons down.
Definitely, he's good entertainment for sure. Yeah, Brian Coleman will definitely be there.
That's cool. I got a video of him last year where I didn't realize he was on nitro, and when he did his burnout, I was deaf for about 10 minutes after that.
Yeah.
So
and he runs that thing on the Hot Rod Tour. He'll
yeah, I
take
think
the Hot
somebody.
Rod.
I had heard that.
Drag Week. He'll run that Drag Week.
As an organization and as a let's call it a product. You guys are putting a product out there. It's A1. It's Class A. Just the entire race as an event is outstanding to be a part of. So I hope
we really try, man. We really try, and it's between John and Wendy running all the PR stuff, and Brad doing a lot of promoting. Myself, we're constantly, I'm chasing sponsors all the time. If your sponsors are out there and want to be part of the Out of Sight Drags, just contact me, Mark Davis. But we're just the work behind the scenes to run this one particular show. Now there's a lot of work to be done, and it takes a lot of dedication. But at the end of the day, the solid thing is we do have some great people in this club, and I really do look at a lot of these people as my extended family. I really truly do. It's a great group of people. We have a lot of fun. It's really about just having fun. No competition within the club. It's all about just having a good old time.
Whoever said that when you're doing something you love, it isn't like doing work. Well, I can say that's not true. It's a lot of work.
It is.
No matter
it's a
how
lot of
you
work.
shake
But
it down,
if you're always having fun, what's the difference, right?
Yeah.
You gotta wake up in the morning for something, right?
Yeah. Well, I myself, I'm immensely looking forward to this event. last year when I came out here, like I said, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I didn't even bring the big camera with me, and I'm like, I couldn't believe it after, even though we got rained out last year.
Yep.
What I was there for blew my
live
mind.
band at our out-of-site drags too on Saturday night.
Yeah, we did forget to mention that it's a cool club. What they do is they actually specialize in like surfer rock.
Oh yeah.
And they're a great band. They're called Floor It.
Cool.
Yeah, and they're a lot of fun. They just do some phenomenal stuff up there. And the neat thing is they'll actually invite some kids up if they. Hey, if you know how to play drums, try to, play drums with us. And it's a nice thing because it does bring everybody together in the common area, where all the food court is and everything over there at the drag strip. And they got a brand new redesigned little concert hall there now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they got a stage. I mean, it's top notch.
Wow.
They got a sound guy there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll have some fun with having some entertainment at nighttime. And one thing that I'd like to touch on with this show is we do host a 1976 and older car show as well. Okay. So, if your car is 1976 and older, you're more than welcome to bring it in. We let the cars go park all the way down the quarter mile. They have it's a fenced-in area. It's a really good time for all those folks. I believe we had 180 show cars there last year. Or not the year before, because we got rained out on the Saturday. And even with I know we were talking about a little earlier, but I think it's still a pretty tall order to say we positively had over 150 cars, and we did get rained out on Saturday. But Mother Nature was good for us because we did open up the tracks, we dried the track off, and we did race. We ended up racing Saturday evening. Yeah. And it was great because a lot of guys got a lot of passes, and let's face it, some of these people drive hundreds of miles to get here.
So the car show, I vaguely remember some street rods in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that that's an actual organized car show.
It is. Yeah. So, unfortunately we did get rained out on Saturday, and that's the day that, we actually have the car show. Yeah. But the year before last, we had over 100, and I believe it was 150 or 160 or 70, but it was just packed. And then people had their tents out, people were grilling, drinking, having their, the cold ones. And really, it's one of the best seats in the house because you're lined up down the track and you're right next. I mean, you're within 3 feet of the return lane, so you get to see all the cars come back. You get to see the faces of the car. That drives the car. A lot of times you're at these other tracks, and I know John had touched on it a little bit, but it's really kind of a spectacular thing when you think about it, because a lot of times I've been to a lot of different tracks, and once you're done racing, you got to circle all the way back around. You never see the folks or anything again. So what we do is we do a nice parade at the end, so what we do is we wait down at the end after we all get our pass in. Everybody parades back up. You get to, see the people, giving you the thumbs up and giving a little dry hop when you go by. It's a lot of fun.
You reminded me of the good old days of Great Lakes Dragaway when the campers used to be lined, you're talking about where the cars are sitting for the car show. Yeah. Used to be campers lined up out there, and in the background there was campers and people camped out. They'd come for the entire weekend and just live there.
Yeah. So we're trying to keep, it was a little bit of a challenge to talk the owners into letting us, have a little cheaper price. Yeah. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to recreate the 60s. So we're trying to keep everything simple. Yeah. So that's why we asked, for a little less price. At $20 a head, you're getting a heck of a show at $20.
I know, that's right.
And 10 to 15, I believe it's $10. And then 9 and under, it's free. And, just trying to keep things simple, come on back to the pits. You got, people are more than welcome to come up. We let the kids sit in our cars, take pictures. Last year, I took a group of young guys that were from a youth home in my 55 Chevy, known as the King Rat. I took about 5 or 6 of these kids, just pull them around the pits, brought them down the back road. first gear hit it a little bit, and these guys are all freaking out. They're like, "Oh my God!" You know, hey, you know, if it changes one troubled kid, you know, that's you know, it's. So they were really impressed about that, you know. So we have a door that we set up too. It's an old Model A door, and it's got the Brew City Gassers, you know. And families take their pictures through there, you know, looking through the door, and you know, we really stress on trying to make this a family-oriented race. You know, we want people to bring their families. Yeah. You know, you know. There's no vulgarness. There's no fighting. You know, there's no, hey, my car's faster than yours or nothing like that. You know, it's really about just, you know, trying to recreate, you know, the old days. You know, family values when they were really important.
Well, and a good point you bring up. You bring your family, and one of the neatest things I did last year at the Out-of-Sight Drags was just to walk through the pits and get up close and personal with the cars and be able to look under the hood and see what's happening and crawl underneath the rear end and see what's going on underneath there. Yeah. Nobody's got nothing to hide. You know, people. I enjoy it when people do that, you know. Oh, you're not like a Kenny Bernstein throwing a rag over your engine when the hood's
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, you know, we really condone that. You know, bring your kids out. Let your kids come and sit in our cars. We don't care. I mean, they're old race cars, you know. Yeah. These things got big beer bellies hanging over the quarter panels and over the fenders all the time anyway, you know. They really do, you know. So these kids ain't going to hurt these cars, you know.
Well, tell me again the date of the...
June 24, June 25. It's a Saturday and Sunday. It's a 2-day event. Friday and Saturday, I'm sorry. And then Thursday night, we're inviting people, you know, that are coming out of town, or if you just want to show up on Thursday evening after noon on Thursday, we're letting you come in, get your spots. And we're also we're inviting you to go ahead and race for an extra added $25. You can do some test and tuning that night, Thursday, and then Friday morning from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. It's a closed event, so everybody that's in there, this is our event. No other. Not that, you know, we don't want them, but it is a closed event because we do it. It's a special race. It's at 1966 and older, and it's all pre-registered racers.
Okay.
So.